like to make the next introduction. He is the owner and founder of a company known as Quarq, Mr. Jim Meyer. Jim.
Hello. Good to be here again. Last year I gave a presentation, kind of gave the history of Quarq. I'll give a quick review for that and then talk about some of the projects that we've been working on. 25 years, 30 years old. This is Quarq's 5th year of operation. I started working on Quarq in 2006. I was being a triathlete bum in Australia, decided I wanted a power meter, didn't like the options, and went to work in the apartment to build a better power meter. And spent the 2006 working alone doing that. 2007, we moved back to the United States, started working a lot more, rented a shop, started building things, really went to work on that through all of 2007, came to Interbike 2007, had it working on a bike and thought we were just about to production. Of course, it was 9 months away. Things it's hard. And started shipping our first units in June of 2008. And shipped throughout 2008 and then into 2009, really ramped things up, started shipping more. We started out with units for Sram and FSA early on, added rotor and specialized and Cannondale as other units that we were building later as we moved forward. And then of course, when I was standing here in 2009, it was great. We had grown a lot, we're shipping stuff, it was quite exciting. Had 5 people at that time. Then in 2010, we started doing our products for Sram. That really pushed up our volumes. It made everything else more common, or more popular. And so when we had 5 people total in 2009 at this presentation, right now we've got 6 people in the room from Quarq, and there's 5 more back in the shop in South Dakota filling orders and building power meters. So it's been a fun progression to go through, to go from working alone in the little apartment, messing around with stuff, and basically a little science experiment, to turn into a real company here 5 years later. And of course, it's been a fun thing too, because there's been so much happening. When we started out and started working on things, Ant was not owned by Garmin. There weren't any wireless power meters when we first started into it. And of course, the news and the changes in the power meter industry have kept coming faster and faster. And now, you have all these announcements of Garmin Metric here, look, Polar, and all this stuff going on. And it's been good for us, because through everything, it's our mission and our work that we have to do has always been so clear. We've had our idea of the power meter that just works no matter what you're doing. It's always simple, very durable, and just focusing on making the product just very, very good, and knowing what our path is. And I didn't really appreciate it at first when I started, but there's kind of a 90% rule, kind of a Murphy's Law, where the first 90% of the project takes 90% of the time, and the last 10% of the project takes the other 90% of the time. And I learned to really understand that somewhere in 2009, just how much work there was to make something, actually turn a science experiment into a product. And of course, I've since learned that that's wrong. There's a different 90% rule that's probably more accurate, and that's that the first 90% of the project is fun. The second 90% of the project kind of wears you down, and the third 90%, which is the attention to detail, and that's what makes the product really great. And it really feels like we've been in this third 90% now, where we're starting to get things figured out. You got your production rolling, everything's going and good. And so that's been a fun process. And of course, throughout 2010, our products have been on a back order. It's been kind of 4 to 8 weeks. We've been taking deposits. And that would be more satisfying, certainly, if we had everything in stock and could overnight ship anything you wanted exactly when you want it. But we've been growing it. It works out to about 300% a year since we've started shipping. And so we haven't quite caught up, although we were hoping to be this week to announce right now that everything is in stock in the web store. Not quite there yet. So maybe next month, but we're working really hard. So with that, last year I introduced one of the projects that we're working on. We make the power meter sensors. We don't make the recording units or a head unit. And so I introduced the Quarq Collector, which is a black box data logger, and I talked about that a bit last year. This is still a project very much alive in our minds. Honesty sometimes doesn't come through in sales presentations or presentations like this, but I will be honest right now. This Collector prototype is the one that I showed last year, and it's still the latest and greatest version of the product that we have. So that's the way it goes. Anyway, you will see this as a product in the future. We're working on it. One of the other things that we're working on that people have asked us about a lot is some of the diagnostics things, and how do you change your slope on your Quarq power meter, and how do you work with some of these things that are functions that other power meters have that we don't. And we've been a little bit constrained because we don't have our own head unit on how to achieve some of these things. How do you have an interface to do some diagnostics or some of the features that we want to do? Well, one of our first things that we're going to do that's come along is we're making an iPhone app that uses a dongle AMP Plus dongle. This dongle is made by Wahoo Fitness, and our iPhone app is a calibration app. It's called Calvin. Somebody please, can you tell me how to spell Calvin?
Q.
Thank you. Q-A-L-V-I-N, Calvin. We're nerds. It's okay. So anyway, with the Calvin app, you'll be able to turn it on, wake up your power meter, go connect to your power meter, and you'll be able to run through some diagnostic stuff, check the health of all the reed switches, the strain gauges, all that, and then it will step you through a calibration. You can change your slope with it, and then you can also step through the calibration procedure. It'll show you a picture of where to hang the weight and what to do with it and how to run through, and then does all the calculations for you to calculate your new slope, and then you can set the new slope if you choose to. And of course, that's mainly used if you're changing chain rings. For a given set of chain rings, the slope's very stable. But if you are switching from road to TT rings, that may be something that you'll need to do. And of course, it's just a handy thing to have in your shop. You know, one of your mechanics can have this near the bikes, and you don't have to get out a head unit. You can just pop it on, you know, install the unit, just give it a double check, make sure everything's working. So that's one of the projects that we're working on called Calvin. So the other thing that we've been working on, one of the things that we feel people ask, oh, what head unit is compatible with this? Which head units do you work with? And of course, we've heard about the SRM Power Control 7, and you know, a lot of people really enjoy that computer and like it. Unfortunately, the Synco is not compatible with the Power Control 7. It's a little weird thing with the state of the products right now, where those two don't talk to each other. And so we decided to, instead of we couldn't control what the Power Control 7 did, but we know the ANT specification. And so we've developed what we call we've put together a dual broadcast mode. Just hold that up. And so you can actually run your Power Control 7 or a Garmin. And if you want to, you can come up and play with this later. But it is dual broadcasting both the quote SRM message and the standard AMP Plus crank torque message. And so you can use both your SRM and your Quarq power meter and your Garmin or AMP Plus head unit at the same time. And so it dual broadcasts. It's what we call German achievement mode. That was named by our programmer Mark for the project. But that'll be a fun thing. That'll start shipping on all the power meters next year. It's an option, so what you'll do is normally it's not dual broadcasting. That chews up a little bit more power, and so yeah, well, thank you. And so we'll turn that on and off, and you'll use the Calvin iPhone app to enable that in the field, where you can ask us when we ship the unit to turn on that for you. So. And then the final thing, you know, when we're out in South Dakota, and there are 4 paved roads out of Spearfish that you can ride on. And so the real riding out there is mountain bikes. And so this is the first Sram EXO mountain bike power meter that we've built. I've actually been riding a compact Synco on my mountain bike for about 2 years. So we've had a lot of experience in the dirt. But this is the Sram XX compatible bolt circle, so 120, 80 millimeter bolt circle on that. And that'll be available in 2011. So that's it. Thank you for all your time. We'll keep everything moving. Enjoy it. We're at booth 1207.
Meyer.